Galactic Empire Stunned as humanity's fleet arrives for total destruction. HFY Story. Prologue. A Forgotten Frontier. The galaxy glittered with the light of 1 billion stars, but its peace was a fragile illusion. The Eldari Empire ruled with an iron grip, maintaining control through fear, subjugation, and overwhelming force. Their fleets patrolled the stars, their soldiers enforced compliance, and their imperial council dictated the lives of trillions. For millennia, this hegemony had gone unchallenged. Humanity's arrival on the interstellar stage had been met with indifference at first. To the Eldari, humans were an upstart race, barely advanced enough to be noticed. Their starships were primitive, their worlds insignificant. When the humans petitioned for membership in the Empire, they were rebuffed, told to remain within the borders of their home system. But humanity did not obey. They expanded, colonizing new worlds, mining resources, and pushing the boundaries of what the Empire considered acceptable. The Eldari grew wary, watching as humanity adapted to the galaxy with unsettling speed. Human ingenuity turned obstacles into stepping stones. Their diplomats forged alliances with fringe species, and their reverse-engineered alien technology, creating hybrid weapons and ships that rivaled anything the Empire had seen. Then came Demaris III, a thriving human colony on the edge of Empire space. Demaris was a beacon of humanity's progress. Its cities gleamed beneath protective domes, its people lived in comfort, and its industries flourished. But to the Empire, it was an act of defiance, a challenge to their authority. The decision was made in a shadowed council chamber. Demaris III would be destroyed. The attack was swift and merciless. Eldari warships descended from hyperspace, their plasma lances tearing through the colony's defenses. Orbital stations exploded in fiery blossoms, and the cities below were reduced to molten craters. The few survivors who managed to escape carried with them the haunting image of their home, burning against the blackness of space. When the news reached Earth, it ignited a firestorm. The United Systems Assembly convened an emergency session, its representatives demanding answers. The Eldari claimed the attack was a necessary measure to protect the stability of the Empire. For humanity, it was a declaration of war. President Leona Vega stood before the Assembly, her voice unwavering. The Eldari have made their position clear. They see us as a threat to be eliminated, but humanity has never bowed to tyranny. We will fight, we will rise, and we will show the galaxy what it means to defy an empire. Chapter 1. The Call to Arms. The United Systems Assembly's decision to go to war against the Eldari Empire was met with both fear and determination. Humanity had never faced an enemy of such overwhelming strength. The Eldari's fleets numbered in the thousands, their technology was centuries ahead, and their soldiers were bioengineered for combat. But humanity had something the Eldari lacked: desperation. On Earth, factories were repurposed to churn out weapons, armor, and starships. The orbital shipyards over Luna became hubs of activity, their scaffolds filled with the skeletons of new dreadnoughts and cruisers. In the asteroid belt, mining facilities redirected their resources to fuel the war machine, extracting rare metals and isotopes needed for advanced weaponry. Admiral Holt watched the activity from the bridge of the Eternal Vow, humanity's flagship. The dreadnought was a marvel of engineering, its hull bristling with weapons that combined human ingenuity with salvaged alien tech. Railguns capable of firing slugs at near light speed lined its sides, while its forward-facing plasma cannons could vaporize smaller ships with a single shot. But it was the ship's experimental shield matrix that gave Holt the most hope. Designed to absorb and redirect enemy fire, it was humanity's answer to the Eldari's energy-based weapons. "We have the tools," Holt said to his officers during a strategy briefing. "Now we need the will. The Eldari are coming, and they won't stop until we're ash. We must fight like we've never fought before." Across the colonies, the call to arms was met with an overwhelming response. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers, eager to defend their homes. On Mars, Commander Elise Marlow trained new recruits, drilling them relentlessly in combat simulations and zero-gravity tactics. "These aren't just soldiers," Marlow said to her second-in-command. "They're survivors, and survivors fight harder than anyone." Chapter 2: The Empire Strikes. The Eldari's response to humanity's defiance was swift and brutal. Their fleet, a colossal armada of gleaming warships, entered the Sol system with the precision of a predator stalking its prey. Each ship was a masterpiece of design, its hulls adorned with iridescent panels that refracted light like a prism. At the center of the formation was the Zaltir, the Empire's flagship, commanded by warlord Talrax. "We will end this rebellion before it begins," Talrax declared, his voice echoing through the bridge of the Zaltir. "No mercy, no survivors." The battle began at the outer edge of the Oort cloud. Humanity's defense fleet, though outnumbered, met the Eldari head-on. Frigates and corvettes darted through the Eldari formation, launching torpedoes that detonated against the enemy's shields. Larger ships, like the Eternal Vow, engaged in brutal exchanges of fire, their railguns and plasma cannons lighting up the void. Holt paced the bridge of the Eternal Vow, issuing orders with calm precision. "Target their support ships first. Without resupply, their front line will crumble." The crew worked in seamless coordination, firing volleys of railgun slugs that tore through Eldari frigates. But the Empire's retaliation was devastating. Plasma lances sliced through human ships, reducing them to fiery debris. The battlefield was a chaotic dance of destruction, each side pushing the other to the brink. On the ground, the Eldari launched an assault on Luna, attempting to disable humanity's orbital defenses. Commander Marlow led the resistance, her Marines fighting with grim determination. The battle for the lunar surface was a hellish blend of trench warfare and zero-gravity skirmishes. Marlow herself led a daring counterattack, using EMP grenades to disable the Eldari's mechanized infantry. By the end of the battle, humanity had held its ground. The Eldari fleet, bloodied but not broken, retreated, leaving behind fields of wreckage and a hardened resolve among humanity's defenders. Chapter 3: Humanity's Counteroffensive. With the Sol system secure, humanity turned its attention to the offensive. Admiral Holt knew that the only way to win was to strike at the Empire's infrastructure, disrupting their supply chains and forcing them onto the defensive. The first target was Talvor Station, a massive supply depot orbiting a gas giant in Eldari space. The station was heavily fortified, surrounded by automated turrets and a small fleet of escort ships. Holt's plan was daring, a stealth approach using cloaked corvettes to disable the station's defenses, followed by a full-scale assault. The operation began under the cover of a dense asteroid field. Human ships moved silently, their engines running at minimum power to avoid detection. When the corvettes reached the station, they unleashed a barrage of EMP missiles, frying its defensive systems. The Eternal Vow and its fleet emerged from the asteroid field moments later, their weapons blazing. The station's escort ships scrambled to respond, but were overwhelmed by the ferocity of the attack. Boarding parties stormed the station, engaging in brutal close-quarters combat. Commander Marlow led the charge, her team methodically disabling key systems and planting explosives. As the station exploded in a brilliant flash, Holt's voice echoed across the comms. "This is what happens when you underestimate humanity." Chapter 4. The Empire Reels. The destruction of Talvor Station was a decisive blow to the Eldari Empire. Supply lines that once fed their war machine now lay in disarray, forcing their fleets to retreat to fortified positions. The loss of the station's resources rippled through the Imperial chain of command, leaving their forces vulnerable to humanity's relentless offensive. Admiral Holt wasted no time capitalizing on the victory. His fleet, emboldened by their success, launched a series of rapid strikes across Eldari-controlled space. These attacks targeted resource depots, fuel refineries, and communication hubs, each operation further crippling the Empire's ability to wage war. The Battle of Zithara Nebula became a turning point in humanity's campaign. The nebula, a swirling expanse of ionized gas, housed an Eldari fleet tasked with re-establishing control over the sector. Its unique environment provided natural cover, but also interfered with sensors and communications, a double-edged sword for both sides. Holt's fleet emerged from hyperspace at the nebula's edge, their ships forming a tight formation. On the bridge of the Eternal Vow, Holt addressed his officers. "The nebula favors neither side. Our advantage lies in speed and precision. Strike hard, strike fast, and leave them with nothing." The fleet advanced into the nebula, using its dense clouds to mask their approach. Eldari patrol ships detected their presence too late. The Eternal Vow unleashed a barrage of railgun slugs, each impact illuminating the nebula in bursts of light. Human corvettes darted through the chaos, targeting the engines of Eldari cruisers with EMP missiles. The Eldari flagship, Luminous Wrath, attempted to rally its forces, but Holt's fleet was relentless. A squadron of human bombers, led by Captain Drake Harden, executed a daring run on the flagship's shield generators, flying dangerously close to its surface. Their success left the Luminous Wrath vulnerable to the Eternal Vow's plasma cannons, which reduced it to a flaming wreck. The aftermath of the battle left the nebula littered with debris, a graveyard of Eldari's ships. Humanity's victory not only secured the sector, but also bolstered their allies among the Empire's subjugated species. The Krellian refugees, a nomadic race enslaved by the Eldari, offered their ships and soldiers to humanity's cause, marking the beginning of a growing coalition. Chapter 5. The Final Push. With the Eldari Empire reeling, Admiral Holt turned his attention to their heart, Aldaros Prime. The capital world was the seat of imperial power, its orbital defenses rivaling those of an entire fleet. The Empire had concentrated its remaining forces there, creating a fortress that no enemy had ever breached. Humanity's coalition, now bolstered by the Krellians and other liberated species, gathered near the star system of Ancaris. The combined fleet was an awe-inspiring sight. Human dreadnoughts and cruisers flying alongside Krellian war barges and Zithian corvettes, their weapons bristling with hybrid technology. On the bridge of the Eternal Vow, Holt outlined the battle plan. Aldaros Prime's defenses are formidable, but they are not invincible. Our fleet will divide into 3 groups. The first will engage their main force head-on, drawing their attention. The second will flank their orbital platforms, targeting their power cores. The third will infiltrate the planet's surface and disable their planetary shields. The fleet advanced on Aldaros Prime, emerging from hyperspace in a coordinated assault. The Empire's defenders, led by Warlord Thalrax aboard the Zaltir, responded with ruthless efficiency. Plasma lances and railgun slugs filled the void, each impact shaking the heavens. Humanity's coalition fought with unmatched ferocity, Krellian war barges, their hulls reinforced with salvaged Eldari alloys, rammed into enemy ships, disabling them before unleashing devastating broadsides. Human fighters weaved through the chaos, their torpedoes targeting critical systems on larger ships. On the surface, Commander Ulysse Marlow led the infiltration team tasked with disabling the planetary shields. The team landed in the shadow of Eldari Prime's capital city, navigating through its labyrinthine sewer systems to avoid detection. They encountered fierce resistance, engaging Eldari soldiers in brutal close-quarters combat. Despite heavy casualties, Marlow's team succeeded in planting charges on the shield generators, bringing the Empire's defenses crashing down. Above the planet, the Eternal Vow and its allies unleashed their full arsenal. Plasma cannons and railguns tore through Eldari warships, while missile salvos devastated the planet's surface installations. The once pristine capital burned as humanity's fleet pushed ever closer to victory. Chapter 6. Humanity's Triumph. The final hours of the battle for Eldari Prime were a symphony of destruction. The Empire's fleets, once thought invincible, now lay shattered. The Zaltir, the Empire's flagship, was all that remained of their command structure. Admiral Holt targeted the Zaltir, determined to end the battle decisively. All ships, focus fire on the flagship. Let them see the power of humanity. The combined firepower of the Coalition fleet converged on the Zaltir, overwhelming its shields and tearing through its hull. Warlord Thorax, refusing to surrender, ordered a desperate counterattack, ramming his ship into the Eternal Vow. The impact shook the human flagship, but its reinforced hull held firm. Holt retaliated with a devastating plasma beam that pierced the Zaltir's core, triggering a massive explosion. On the surface, Commander Marlow led the final assault on the Imperial Palace. Her forces, supported by liberated species, stormed the palace's gates, engaging in a fierce battle against the Empire's elite guard. The halls of the palace echoed with the sounds of gunfire and explosions as Marlow fought her way to the throne room. Inside, the Emperor of the Eldari stood defiant, his ornate armor glinting in the firelight. "You think you've won?" he sneered. "The Empire is eternal." Marlow raised her weapon, her voice steady. "Not anymore." With a single shot, the Emperor fell, and the palace was secured. The Empire's reign had ended. Epilogue: A new era. The fall of Eldari Prime sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The once mighty Eldari Empire, which had ruled for millennia, was no more. Humanity's victory marked the beginning of a new era, one defined not by subjugation, but by unity. On Earth, celebrations erupted as the news spread. President Leona Vega addressed the galaxy from the steps of the United Systems Assembly. "This victory is not just humanity's. It belongs to every species that fought alongside us, to every soul that dared to defy tyranny. Together, we will build a galaxy where freedom, not fear, reigns." The Coalition, now a formal alliance, worked to rebuild the worlds devastated by the Empire. The Krellians returned to their ancestral homes, while other liberated species joined humanity in charting a new course for the galaxy. The United Systems Assembly became the foundation of a new interstellar order, one built on equality and mutual defense. Admiral Holt, now hailed as a hero, stood aboard the Eternal Vow, gazing at the stars. "They thought they could break us," he said to his crew. "But humanity doesn't break. We rise." Commander Marlow, scarred but unbroken, oversaw the reconstruction efforts on Eldari Prime. Standing amidst the ruins of the Imperial Palace, she reflected on the cost of victory. The galaxy had been forever changed, and humanity had earned its place among the stars.